All right, back with you. It is San Diego sports leader, the Mighty 1090. Since minute number one of this program, I have been telling you all about how exciting I found this weekend to be for college football. If you're a football fan, I don't know how you didn't get into it. If the pro game's your game, certainly that whets your appetite heading into the NFL starting on Thursday night. Let's say hello to Rocky Long. His San Diego State Aztecs are 1-0. They beat New Hampshire 31-0. They will host Cal at 7:30. It's a game that you can listen to on ESPN 1700. Upcoming this weekend, pregame show starting at about 6:30 or so. Rocky, good to talk to you as always. Darren Smith, thank you very much for the time.
Well, great to hear from you, Darren.
Appreciate it. 1-0. How did it feel to get that first one under the belt?
It feels good. Anytime you win, it feels good. And, obviously it's a chance to coach and learn from the mistakes we made and maybe play at a higher level as we continue on. And, a lot of guys got experience that needed the experience, and we didn't get anybody seriously injured, so everybody should be healthy and ready to go this weekend.
I watched your post-game press conference. Your athletic department, might I say, does an excellent job of making that available for everybody to watch. If you're a San Diego State fan, or if you're a press conference fan, or if you're a Rocky Long fan, you should give it a couple of minutes. Afterwards, you said, we won by 31 points. You won 31-0. And we didn't play very well. And somebody who didn't see the game or listen to the game might say, well, what's that all about? When you say that we won by 31 but we didn't play all that well, what specifically are you talking about?
Well, several things. I didn't think we blocked for the running game as well as we need to or can. We had trouble getting up to the second level to get some big running plays from DJ Pumphrey and some other guys, but so I think by technique and execution, we can get a lot better blocking for the running game. And then, as is the case, when you play spread offenses and you don't tackle much in practice anymore, I thought on defense we missed a lot of tackles, and I didn't think we played with the enthusiasm that we need to play with. I think we played okay. We played hard, but we didn't play with the enthusiasm we need. And so you can learn. It's a lot more fun learning from a win than from a loss.
Absolutely. How much of that is just, first game rust, first game jitters? How much of that is just a product? We talked about it even last week. You had said something that surprised me a little bit. You wouldn't mind a preseason game or two or one of those high school football type things. How much of that is just, it's the first game and you got some stuff that you need to iron out?
Well, I think a lot of it's the first game. But we have a pretty experienced football team, so you would expect us to play maybe a little bit better in certain spots. But on the other side of the field, New Hampshire's probably got all kinds of problems after they watch what happened in our game. So coaches are never happy. I mean, I'll be happy if we win this week.
What would have made you happy with that game? Is there anything that would have made you happy against New Hampshire?
Well, I should be happy because it was a shutout, but since we didn't play at a fever tempo, that kind of ruined that for me a little bit. But whenever you play a spread team and you shut them out, that's pretty nice. So I'm pretty happy about that.
All right, Rocky Long's joining us on San Diego Sports Leader, the Mighty 1090. The Aztecs are going to be hosting Cal upcoming this weekend, which we'll get to in a minute. Last thing on this previous week's game, because I remember from last Tuesday's interview, you said, listen, we're favored in the game. If we play well, we should win it. It's all about taking the game seriously, respecting your opponent, not looking ahead to Cal. If we do those things, then we'll be fine in this game. At what point, Rocky, for you, did you say, okay, you know what, my team's got the proper mindset? Was it pregame? Was it the first quarter, halftime? At what point for you did you say, all right, you know what, these guys are doing what I asked of them, even if I'm not 100% thrilled with the way they played and all of the execution out there? At what point did you know, all right, at least I don't have to worry about them and their mindset?
Well, that's easy when we hit the long pass, because the first three times we were out there on offense, we didn't get a first down, and they had us backed up against our own goal line, so we were playing defense up against our own goal line. Now, the defense kept them out of the end zone, too, which was pretty good, but I didn't see any spark on the offense where we were going to make some plays, and when we hit the long pass to Micah Holder, right then I knew we were going to win, because that just proved to the other team that they weren't good enough to beat us.
Yeah, that was 86 yards. By the way, must give credit, because our colleague Jordan Caruth asked you during the coaches show about somebody a little bit, not necessarily off the beaten path, but, somebody not named DJ Pumphrey. And you identify Micah Holder as somebody who's going to have a pretty big season there. Not a bad first game for him.
Well, it's nice when you're right. Then somebody out there might think I know what I'm talking about, because I could have picked somebody else, obviously. And it's nice the guy you picked had a good game.
I wonder, Rocky, you have a senior leadership group that we've talked about, but, you see some of the stuff that happens around college football, which had an amazing first week, whether it's Appalachian State giving Tennessee a scare. As a result, Tennessee tumbles in the polls today. Three Division 1A FBS programs, they're called now. I hate these terms. Lost to FCS programs. I know you can't use all of that stuff as motivation, or you can't present that all to your team because some of it's happening at the time that you're playing. But do you ever use that stuff with your team? Do you ever say, hey, look, Washington State lost? The different examples that you could give. Do you ever have to present that stuff before your team and say, hey, listen, don't get too far ahead of yourselves here?
It's an interesting. Things have changed. You used to use all that stuff. I mean, you used to put things up on the bulletin board that the other team said and all that. It's kind of gone by the wayside. And now we do mention it. We mention things like that. But when you want a team to play well, it's more about us being us. I mean, you don't worry about what's happening in the rest of the world. You don't worry about who's playing who. You don't worry about who won, who didn't win. You worry about how you're going to play and who you're playing next. And that's kind of the mindset of this age group, and I don't mind that at all. They get so much media readily available to them, guys talking bad about them or things happening. That doesn't bother them anything like it used to.
Yeah, I mean, because, it happens, for people that laugh and go, well, why in the world would anybody schedule New Hampshire? Well, you go, well, Richmond beat Virginia, and Eastern Washington beat Washington State, and, South Dakota State gave TCU a scare, but it doesn't really matter to them. They're just hyper-focused on what it is that's in front of them.
Yeah, and that's the way you need it. I mean, you want your team worried about them. You don't want them worrying about the rest of the world in football.
All right, so you got the Cal Bears. What can you tell us? It's a different-looking team than, at least at the quarterback position. It's a different-looking team than what you saw in 2015, Rocky, and we're talking to Rocky Long, head coach at San Diego State. However, I did notice that they put up 51 points in Australia against Hawaii, which is on this global college football tour. What can you tell us, the things that are similar and the things that are different about Cal from last year to this year?
Well, they have a new quarterback, but he's a transfer kid. He's a fifth-year senior, came from Texas Tech, and obviously had a great game, threw for 440-something yards, and he's a big, strong guy. He's about 6'5" or 6'6". He's about 230 pounds, throws it well. And the real thing is that he came from Texas Tech that runs the exact same system as Cal. So when he walked into Cal, he already knew the way to call plays. He knew the way to read the routes. He knew how to all the formations. He knew all that when he stepped in, and it took him, I think, 3 days to become the starting quarterback. So I'm not saying he's Jared Goff, but he's pretty darn good. And they have young receivers, but they're very, very talented. They're obviously big and strong. They're monstrous up front. I think they average 6'4.5", 320 pounds in the offensive line. This is a complete different deal than New Hampshire. These guys are running the same offense, but they run it faster, they run it better, they got better athletes out there. So on offense, it hasn't changed much. On defense, they've changed a little bit. Now they're a 4-2. In other words, they're playing 5 DBs all the time. And they played pretty well in the first game. They have 7 starters back, so it's probably the transition between systems from last year to this year that they didn't play as well on defense. But they've had 2 weeks to prepare for us, so I'm sure they're ready this week.
2 weeks to prepare, plus it's not like there are going to be any surprises since a lot of those guys saw you last year, and they had a lot of success against you guys last year.
Yeah, I don't think we scare them. Since they beat us 35-7 last year, I don't think they're worried. I think they'll come down here with a lot of confidence, and I don't think we scare them. So we'll see if we can play better than last year. I think our team will be up for the game. I think we'll play really hard. Now, if we play well, we've got a chance to win.
Is there anything that you could take away from that game last year, the game that you lost at Berkeley?
Certainly. We gave up in what should be a coverage that you don't give up big pass plays. We gave up 2 gigantic pass plays in a coverage that should be a safe coverage, so you have to learn from that mistake. We turned the ball over right before halftime when we should have gone in 7-7. We went in down 14-7, so they're the turnover deal. So, yeah, you can learn something, and then the offense is the same. Different guy calling it, though, so there's a little bit difference on how he calls it, but the offense is the same. The defense is a little different.
The revenge factor might be a little bit overrated, more for people in my business than in yours, Rocky, but I'll ask anyway. Is it something that you'll play up this week, or is it something that you even have to? Is it on the minds of your players?
I don't think I won't mention that part, and I don't think the people that are playing for us think that way. They think it's a great opportunity, and I think they have great respect for Cal because how Cal beat us up last year. So there's great respect for that team, but our team's excited about having another chance. I don't ever hear the revenge deal anymore.
You don't? All right. Well, we'll hear it a lot this week in the NFL, because Carolina is going to be playing against the Denver Broncos. So I'm sure people will be beating that drum heading into Thursday night.
Well, I think that everybody talks that way. I'm not sure that's the way everybody feels.
How about just your conference as a whole? I mean, I know it's week 1 and everybody's overreacting, but this is an interesting week when I look at the Mountain West scheduling because you guys yourselves, you have Cal, a Pac-12 team, Utah State, USC, Nevada, Notre Dame. UNLV is got an interesting one against UCLA, Boise State, Washington State. How about the conference as a whole? No wins against the Power 5 conferences week number 1 of the season here. How about just the weekend as a whole?
Well, the more we play them, the more chances we have to win, right? So, no, I commend the other teams in our league that everybody's stepping out and playing those guys because I'm sure we would like to be considered in the same sense that they are. So I think everybody's stepping out there. I would guess that somebody in our league's going to beat one of those guys from the Power 5 this week, hopefully more than one. But I'm sure we're going to win one of those games. I hope it's us beating Cal. But I think that we can compete with them, and I think there'll be some really good games out there, and I think that's the only way your league is mentioned in the national scene.
There is a huge banner hanging close to campus. I have not seen this with my own eyes, but this is the day and age of social media, Rocky, as you know. It's on 55th and Montezuma. It's a huge banner of DJ Pumphrey, Donnell Pumphrey, and it says Pumphrey for Heisman, and it's on the side of some big building up there. I'm not sure exactly which one it is. Maybe you drive past it every day or not. I'm not sure. But what do you think about that, about your running back having this big 50-foot high banner sitting there close to campus?
I think it's pretty neat. I do see it every day because as I come up the hill, it's right there before I turn into the parking structure. So I see it every day. The first time I saw it was Sunday. It was a nice surprise to see it up there. I think that we have to do what we can to try to get him recognized. I mean, the best thing we can do for him is block a little bit better so he can gain more yards than he did last week. That'd be the best thing. But I think he deserves it, and I would like to think our program, when you have a player like that, deserves some mention. But it was nice to see it up there.
It was a surprise? You didn't know that they were doing that?
Well, I knew that they had planned to do it, but I was told it was going to be on a different building than it was on, and it's a little bit late. It was supposed to be up a couple weeks ago, not just this weekend. So I wasn't sure it was going to go up, and then where they put it wasn't where I thought it was going up, so I was a little surprised when I saw it.
Is that the only one? Maybe they'll put one up in Ocean Beach right by your house.
Well, they have a billboard right as I go home. And that one's been up for a month. I see that every time I go home.
Yeah, I see a lot of those too, but the Pumphrey for Heisman ones, we'll get that up on one of the sides of the buildings there in OB that you go to.
Okay, we'll do that.
No, seriously, is that the only one? I mean, it's a huge banner, again, and I knew that the university and the athletic department was doing something. I didn't know what exactly, but will there be more of those, you think?
No, I think that's the only banner going up. The billboards have been up for probably a little over a month. They're not all Pumphrey, but everyone I see is Pumphrey.
Does he get to take that banner when he graduates? Can he leave with that?
Well, since it'll be his eligibility be up, it probably is not an extra benefit, so he probably can get it.
What are you expecting Saturday night in terms of crowd support? Seemed like it was a pretty good crowd on Saturday. I admit to you, Rocky, I was not there, but I will be there upcoming this Saturday. What are you expecting in terms of crowd support? What do you need?
Well, we need the stadium full is what we need, but that's probably not going to happen. I think we'll get our loyal fans, which is about 35,000, and then it's up to Cal to bring about 15,000 more so we can hit 50.
50. All right, that's a good number. I like that. It's a good number there heading into Saturday, 7:30 night game, which I like. Rocky, always a pleasure. Congrats on the first win. We will talk to you next week.
All right, Darren, thank you.
You got it, Rocky.
Appreciate it, Rocky.
See you later.
See you, buddy.